Hello, and welcome to my kitchen, mi cocina. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Catalina's Cocina in my new cocina and kitchen. Whoop, 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 whoop. Look at how gorgeous she looks. Lighting fixture, the walls. You can see a microwave, a little bit of the backsplash counter, but you'll see a lot more as we dive into today's episode, the November episode of Catalina's Cocina, where we are going to be baking some pumpkin chocolate chip cookies. I can't take credit for this recipe because this is all Sally's baking addiction. I will link her somewhere down here or in the description somewhere. But this is gonna be my take on her pumpkin chocolate chip cookies because you guys know I sometimes improvise in the kitchen and I go rogue, and I definitely am doing that today, and you'll learn why here shortly. But I hope you've been enjoying these videos. If you're watching this, it's because you have. So without further ado, let's jump into this pumpkin chocolate chip cookie party. All right, so quick rundown on the ingredients. For the wet ingredients, you're going to want some pumpkin puree, some granulated white sugar, some brown sugar, 1 stick of butter melted. We're also going to be doing a little vanilla extract, and that is it for all the wet ingredients. And then you're going to do some pumpkin spice, some cinnamon. You need baking powder, baking soda, flour, and then we have our chips. So this is where we go rogue because I didn't have semi-sweet chocolate chips, so I just combined dark chocolate and just normal milk chocolate. But I'm also going to split this batch of cookies, and I'm going to try putting these like caramel sea salt baking chips from Trader Joe's. So we'll see how this goes. I'm going to flip you and we'll get started. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started with our dry mixture first. And for that, we will start with the sugars. So we are going to go ahead and put in a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. So we got our 1/4 cup of packed brown sugar. There we go. And then we are going to do a 1/2 cup of granulated white sugar. And then we're going to add our melted stick of butter, unsalted. Have that right in there. And leave that in the sink. You guys know me. I prefer a fork over a whisk. So now I'm going to go ahead and whisk this all together, and we'll be right back. All right, so now that all of that is whisked, and by all of that I mean the brown sugar, the white sugar, and the melted butter, we're gonna go ahead and add our pure vanilla extract and our pumpkin puree. So for the pure vanilla extract, you just want 1 teaspoon of that. And we got our teaspoon. Set that aside. And then we are gonna grab our tablespoon. We're going to grab 6 tablespoons of the puree. I'm going to use the top of this as a like leveler, so you'll see me fast forward through these purees. Awesome. Okay, so we got the puree, we got the vanilla. Let's whisk. So this is what your dry mixture should look like once you are done whisking it. As you can see, it's all really smooth. You don't want any like big chunks or blobs of like brown sugar or pumpkin puree like coming through it should be pretty nice and smooth as such. So now we're gonna go ahead and switch gears. We're gonna set this aside and we're going to work on the dry mix. All right, so for this dry mix, we are going to go ahead and just put all of our dry ingredients in this bowl, which is a different bowl. It's got nothing in it. We're starting fresh. So, didn't think this one through. What we're gonna go ahead and do is putting in here 1.5 cups of flour. I'm gonna use the half cup instead of the full cup since that backfired clearly. So, putting my measuring cup in there, make sure that you pat it down, kind of like level it. That way we're not adding any extra flour in here. So we got half. All right, so we're gonna put 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. And then we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing with some baking powder. 1/4 teaspoon. Boop. We got that. And we're doing a pinch of salt. Again, going rogue because I didn't have the baking salt, so that is there. And then we are going to be doing 1.5 teaspoons of the ground cinnamon. Let's grab that first. I had mistakenly grabbed the pumpkin spice. So we're doing 1.5 teaspoons of this cinnamon. That's half. That's another half. And that is another half. So that makes 1.5 teaspoons. And then we're doing the 3/4 teaspoon of pumpkin spice. So I'm just using my 1/4 teaspoon. So I'm gonna do this 3 times. Bruce just running around wild, as you can hear him. Alrighty, so now we're gonna mix all of our, yes, I got all of our dry ingredients in here, so now we're gonna go ahead and mix them all together. That's a mix of whisk and mix. So this is what our dry ingredients are looking like, just a good mix between the flour, baking soda, baking powder, pumpkin spice, cinnamon, and the pinch of salt. So I have my dry mix and my wet mix, and I'm going to go ahead and pour the wet mix into the dry. So now that this is fully combined, I'm going to go ahead and split this dough in 2. So I'm going to put half of what's in here in this bowl, and that way I can do the split between the chocolate chip cookies and then the experiment with the caramel sea salt baking chips. So let's go ahead and split. Okay, so you'll see that now I have a pretty even split between those. Maybe there's a little bit more in this one and in that one, but that is okay. So I'm probably gonna go ahead and put all the chocolate chips in this one that has a little bit more, and then the batter that has a little bit less batter. We'll do the experiment with the sea salt caramel chips. So now I'm gonna flip you so that we can pour these chippies in and mix them in. Okay, so here's where I go rogue again. I'm not gonna measure the chips. I'm not, sue me, okay? So these are the sea salt caramel from Trader Joe's. I'm gonna put them in the smaller bowl right here. Just gonna pour a little careful first. Fill these in. Okay, and now for this other batch, I'm going to go ahead and use this concoction. Can I show you? Okay, let me grab you. So remember, I did not have semi-sweet chocolate chips, so I mixed a little bit of the milk chocolate and the dark chocolate that I had. So there she is, and we're gonna pour some of these into the mix. All right, so now that the chips have been folded into each, we have our chocolate chips and we have our sea salted caramel chips in this pumpkin batter. We're gonna go ahead and put these in the fridge to chill for about 30 minutes. You can chill them overnight if you'd like, or for a few hours. I think you could even chill them for like up to 3 days, if I am not mistaken. But I'm gonna put these puppies in for just 30 minutes so that we can enjoy these cookies tonight. So we'll be right back. While those cookies are chilling, you want to make sure that you are preheating your oven, and we're going to bake these at 350. So just go ahead and click start. And while we wait for those cookies to cool, we will wait for the oven to preheat. So while I am cleaning up and kind of condensing all of my leftovers, I will make a quick note that if you have dogs, pumpkin puree is really good. It's really good for their digestive system. And here they all come. Here, you'll see what I mean. I'm gonna flip you. So doggies really love their pumpkin puree. So if you have a little extra, you can definitely give them a little. It's really good for them. It's a nice snack. Rue, Storm. Okay. Sharing is caring. Okay, Storm's turn. If you're ever making something with pumpkin puree, your sous chefs can definitely go ahead and lick the spoon in this case. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. And we're back. So the cookies have been chilled in the fridge for 30 minutes. I have my cookie sheet with the baking sheets all prepared and ready to go. So we're gonna go ahead and grab those out of the fridge so we can scoop them onto here and into the oven. Here we go. Here we have it. All right, so this is kind of like a full teaspoon-esque. So I'm gonna do like 2 scoops of this, roll them into balls. Those in my hand, and then I roll them, these nice little balls, and place it on the cookie sheet. Making sure. All right, so that was it for the chocolate chip cookie ones. It ended up yielding about like 6, 7, 8, 9 cookies of chocolate chip. Since I still have 2 spots on this baking sheet, I'm gonna go ahead and put 2 of the sea salt caramel cookie balls on here, and then we'll put those as the first batch in the oven. voila. Now, per Sally's baking addiction recipe, you are to flatten these cookies just a little bit with the top of your spoon. All right, so here we go. Open the oven, grab these guys, put them in there nice and snug. And those are going in there for 11 to 12 minutes. So I'm gonna start with 12 and see how we do. I did forget to mention that when you do pop those in the oven, since we still have a little bit of the dough and the mixture left, go ahead and pop that back in the fridge. That way it doesn't get like room temperature one, it stays cool. And then once these cookies come out, you can go ahead and put the next batch in. It's time. Remember to put your oven mitt on. Look at these beauties. I'm gonna go ahead and take these guys out. Set them back on the counter. Close your oven, but leave it on because we will be putting more cookies. But before we do, we're gonna let these cool about like 5 to 10 minutes before I transfer them off to the like cooling rack. That way we don't lose the integrity of the chewiness. And then I'll go ahead and just load the other batch and last batch. And we should be test tasting for dessert this evening. So hang in there tight, it'll be worth it. And now it's time for batch number 2. Go in the oven. Putting these in there for another 12 minutes. And now we wait. And we're ready. Turning off that timer. Grabbing our last batch of cookies. Okay. All right, so there you have it. Ooh. A little spicy there, but we are gonna let these cool, same as the first batch. So they're gonna cool on the baking sheet, just as is, and then I will transfer them over to the rack so they can cool a little bit more. And I will hook you guys up with some footage of when we try them out for dessert, for our dinner tonight. So stay tuned. And we're done. Voila! Another episode of Catalina's Cocina in the books already. It's been 3 months. Thank you guys so much for coming along in this journey. But enough talking. Now it's time to taste test. So let's see. I'm gonna grab this one right here. So this is the one with the milk chocolate and the dark chocolate chips. Do you see that chewiness? Wow. Okay. Here, I'll show you guys a little bit of the inside. It's like perfect. Because it's like the right amount of pumpkin-y, but not too much, and the chocolate chips is a nice balance. I'm glad I went rogue. I wasn't sure how this was gonna come out. And then one of the sea salt caramel. Let's do one of the experiment ones. I choose you. This guy's got a little cookie there in the middle. Chewy as well. I like these ones. These turned out a little sweeter. Here, I'll do the break. I do like my cookies very chewy. Probably if you like them a little crunchier, you could probably leave them a little longer, or maybe like smush them a little more. But I like them like this. This one, I wonder if it's because of the caramel chips, the sea salt caramel chips, so that's why it gives it more of the sweeter pumpkinier. Because the other ones, the chocolate chip ones, it's not that they're not sweet or not pumpkiny, but I think the chocolate kind of balances them. So it's pumpkin. Well, they're both pumpkin. Pumpkin caramel, chocolate chip. Either way, really, really nice. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for coming along for the ride. Thank you to Sally's Baking Addiction for a wonderful recipe. If you guys do end up trying this recipe, tag me in your videos or in your photos, whatever you end up making on social media. If you like what you see, you want to share it with your friends, please do. If you subscribe to my emailing list, you'll be the first to know when the next Catalina's Cocina video is coming out. But just a little tip and trick, trying to bring them out every second Thursday of every month. So that's something that you can expect and put on your calendar so we can cook together. All the recipe cards are in the email that you received if you want to go ahead and cook or bake side alongside me. And then the Catalina's Cocina playlist on Spotify is also updated, and the song of the month is my song Get Out and I'll Drive, because November, the holidays are coming. Get out there, go on a road trip, see your family, bake with them, and eat and be happy. But without further ado, I will leave you to it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your month, and I'll see you in December for another Catalina's Cocina. Bye.